In this episode, the 3x5 system gets another board. Everything, it is past 2, but it plays a second instrument and various things of interest So here's the 3x5 system with all the boards plugged in and operational. And the new board, which arrived on Monday, is the floppy disk controller. It's based on an NEC 765 controller chip that's there in the middle underneath the little heat sink. You'll notice that this board is not in the back plane. I'm still testing this board out. I need to put it through its paces. I'm dealing with software and hardware more so than I ever have before, so I'm getting to learn the circuitry and how this thing operates here. I've got a pretty good understanding, but I haven't mastered it. You'll notice this little card here. When it came to testing these boards, if it was in the back plane, as you can see, you're kind of limited in how you can put probes and so forth inside there without shortening anything out. And I have come across what appears to be from time to time a cable that will allow me to do essentially what I did, but I haven't come across it. I could have swore I came across one, but I didn't write it down, unfortunately. I did send away for a quote, and somebody came back wanting $80 for a cable, and I thought, nah, that's too much. And thinking about it one night, and I thought, you know what, I can do better than that. So I went ahead and bought this $7 18-inch 50 conductor ribbon cable from DigiKey. And while I had the boards made here for the floppy disk controller, I went ahead and designed this little thing. It's a little itty-bitty board. What it allows me to do is I can plug the ribbon cable into there. It's nothing more than the same bus that the back plane has, only it has 3 spots to it. And I put a little connector right there, and then one there for the cable to plug in, and then that way I'm able to put the board here on my desk and probe away with plenty of room. And it's paid off immensely. I'm really glad that I went with this approach. It doesn't fully work. I'm not saying it's malfunctioning, but I am having to learn the steps required to communicate with it. There are a number of examples, but something that I found out through retro computing is that the examples can sometimes be very specific to a specific board, make, model, whatever the case might be. Doesn't necessarily work with this system here. So I'm having to get very low level, as you would naturally have to do with machine code, and just go through the little paces there. I managed to pick up some 3.5-inch floppy drives. These were pulled from a server, and again, I do seem to be communicating with it, because there's been a few times where I've entered some codes to get kind of like a drive status. I have successfully been able to get the board to tell me that I've got a write protect enabled on the diskette. It comes back with that correctly. The one thing that I have to finalize is the tuning of the phase lock loop circuit. There are steps involved with that. I thought I'd at least make certain that the board checks out completely before I get into that. But again, it's just one day at a time, so hopefully in the near future I'll be able to show you this thing running. The SuperOff computer that I have has a cassette interface, and I have been considering having cassette, but at the same token I thought, if I'm going to go all out with this and build actual boards, I might as well try a floppy disk controller. This is based off of the design. RCA Corporation created a micro board that I basically, the specs for it are out there, and studied the schematic, basically copied it into my own schematic. The two-level I/O system is a little different, but overall it's pretty much the same thing. Now, with one other exception, the drive connector paths are completely different. Back then, 3.5 drives I think were just starting to come on the market, and most of these were either 5.25 or 8-inch drives. So the interface to the drive itself had a lot more pins to deal with, and I basically decided what signals were important, which ones were common essentially between all the 3 drives, and going with that. There are a number of jumpers on here. That's probably overkill since I'm going to be dealing with 3.5-inch drives, but I thought, hey, what the heck? It's my board. I can put on what I want to it here. Just to show you, there's a whole slew of different. There's a couple trim pots there, of course, resistors, an adjustable capacitor. That capacitor is used to vary the frequency within the PLL. Again, I'm not a master at it. I'm learning, but it's fun, and it's joy. Joy and tears. There's times where I think this thing's not working, and then hours later I realize I'm pushing too hard. I gotta step back and just go from there. So stay tuned. Bye bye.